Welcome back, everybody. Oh my gosh. I know it's been a slow, long, hot week, summer, you name it. But I got a good show for you today because there's some stuff in the works. I mean, in just about 1 week, July 29th, the hammer gets laid down. And by that, I mean Justice Nicklin gets to decide just how much the Daily Mail gets in damages. So right now it's capped at legal fees, but he could uncap that. We're going to explain again why. It has a lot to do with Harry's, lousy temper. It can be a lot. It's going to be millions. Can he afford it? Will he and Meghan have to sell the Montecito house? Will Elton John ever talk to him again? These are all questions I have. Then we're going to get into, oh my goodness, the meeting with Pa. Did Meghan have to curtsy? It wasn't as cozy lovey-dovey as Harry wants you to believe. Of course, naturally. Listen, he's just happy he got his name associated again, got his foot in the door, and likely back in the will. What can you say now? Do Harry and Meghan really want Meg-Zin? Will they get a Meg-Zin? Is Operation Thaw, Project Thaw, a real thing? Because you know how I feel about that. I think it's something Harry wants, but the rest of the palace is kind of like, huh? Then, of course, we have to talk about September. Don't know if you know this, September 8th, big date. It is the date of not only the Well Child Awards, of which Harry will be in the UK for, but also marks the date of the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. And he's going to want to mark that. Will he and William have to be photographed together? Will they do a procession? What will happen? I'm dying. Will Meghan and the kids be there? So many questions. And then, of course, we got Oprah, because Oprah did this nonsensical non-interview with Vanity Fair where she clarified nothing. So to go over all this with me is my good friend and amazing journalist, Alison Boshoff, who has got the in on what Harry's side is saying. She also knows what's going on with the palace. So she's a great balance. And whoop, here we go. Welcome, Alison. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's lovely to see you, Paula, always.
I mean, you're just like a little heart. I adore you. Okay, so listen, we are going to start with July 29th. Daily Mail could get millions in damages. Can Harry afford it? Will he have to sell the mansion? Now, listen, I know you work for the Daily Mail. You can't really talk about that, but you did actually you were forced to be interviewed by David Sherborne and Harry's lawyers. What was that about, and what was that like?
So I was just a very small part of one of 6 actions. Six. There were 6 plaintiffs, and one of them was an actress called Sadie Frost, who was married to Jude Law, and she complained of a number of articles, and one of them was written by me in July of 2003, which is a long time ago. And they said, you must have got this personal information about her by hacking her phone or bugging or doing something criminal. And then I had to try and prove that I hadn't done something 23 years ago. So that was horrible. I mean, obviously I didn't, and there was no evidence I had, but then you still have to, they roll the dice and it's up to you to prove it. So I think one thing I can say a few general things. We don't want to peeve the judge, right? Because, 29th is an important day. So it's not damages, it's actually costs that he's on the hook for.
Okay.
And they all are. And the judge has absolute discretion about who he orders to pay what. Okay, so he could say, this person pays nothing. the general principle is you're severally responsible. So Harry and Elton and Liz Hurley and all that should all be liable for their portion of the failed legal action. However, the judge could say, I think Harry should pay all of it. Or the judge could say, I think Elton should pay it all, or Liz Hurley should pay nothing, or, so the judge can be very specific about it. So we'll wait and see. Things that can make the judge move in a certain direction are the conduct of the individual during that court case. So things like if they didn't disclose information, or if there's any kind of whiff of some kind of bad faith, people who refuse to mediate to get frowned on as well. So actually their conduct and how aggressively or otherwise it was pursued, and their treatment of evidence will all be a part of what he weighs. And I can't really discuss it further than that because I don't want to get into trouble. But anyway.
Understood. I just would like to add, for me, Harry's conduct was abysmal. He got into fights with the judge. He forgot he met people. He also helped bring people into this case. And in your case in particular, where you were grilled over Sadie Frost, it turned out it was her publicist who told you, correct?
It wasn't her publicist on that occasion, but it was a source, and it was a legitimate piece of journalistic inquiry from a long time ago, when I'd phoned someone who knew someone who said, oh yeah, this is going on, and Jude Law sent her papers and they arrived on her birthday, and it made her very upset. This is exceedingly well publicized divorce, and my article was a kind of pretty minor footnote in the reporting of it. But what happened, I think broadly what we can see with this massive failed legal action is that there's a pressure group that really wanted to get the Daily Mail to just to get us, and they claimed that they had information which indicated that the Daily Mail had engaged in criminal behavior. They didn't actually have any evidence, but they sold this lie to Harry and others, and that's why it all went as far as it did. So yeah, we'll see.
The other thing is, you would think, because the judge did say this should not go to court, and he was ignored. Now, they could be on the hook for tens of millions of pounds. And
so they're on the hook for what they spent, and then they're on the hook for what we spent. Yeah. So that's
right.
50 million each. Yeah.
Wow. 50 million each. Although, to be fair, David Sherborne thought he was going to win, didn't really care if he won or not because he did it pro bono. That's what everyone is reporting. But still, 50 million for you guys, that's not cheap. Can Harry afford that?
I mean, it depends what his portion is. So, if we were to divide it, maybe 8 million. I don't think he has 8 million spare at all. I don't think he does.
The thing is,
that house I think has 2 mortgages on it. So yeah, I don't think he can remotely. But it could be that he went into it on the understanding that he wouldn't have to pay if it failed. He may have insurance, or he may have a wealthy friend who's offering to sub him. Hello, Elton John. I simply have no knowledge at all of that.
Well, the Times of London has reported that Harry and Elton assured all the others that they would cover the costs. And Elton has the deepest pockets. Now, I've reported that Elton has basically told Harry, I am not a bank, because Harry also wanted money for Invictus, because Invictus is also having a little financial problems after the week he had earlier in the month. Corporations are kind of like, not this year, see you later, which is interesting. Now, there's been a lot of talk, and I've reported this as well, that Invictus is in a lot of trouble. However, they just announced that, South Korea for the rescue. South Korea will pay for an Invictus in 2029, which is interesting because, let's be clear, this is the first time an Asian country has come in, and it just seems a little pay to play. Like they just want to kind of be near the royals, even though Harry is royal adjacent at this point. Now, if Harry does have to pay, like let's say they all pay, and Harry and Elton have said they'll take care of it, as the Times has reported, what do you think is going to happen? Because if they have 2 mortgages on this house already, the house in Montecito, that is now worth 28 million. Yes, they only bought it for about 14. But the problem is, even though your house is appreciated, number one, your taxes go through the roof. So they are paying taxes on a $28 million house, not a $14 million house. And the other issue is, if they have 2 mortgages, they could sell tomorrow and still not really get their money out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's we'd all love to have such problems. It isn't. I think there is an issue here. They do have a few very wealthy, very kind friends, like Victoria. Oh God, my name's gone totally blank. No, the no makeup lady. Yeah. Help me out, Paula.
I know. Victoria, the one who flies them around in her jet and then up into her New York house.
So I mean, someone like that could conceivably help. But actually, you know, if I look at it with my media hat, and I think if anything was going to persuade you to actually make that Netflix documentary about your mother that you've been asked to make, that you don't really want to make, but they might give you 20 million for, this literally is it. So I think it's very possible that he will do some massive high profile, you know, Diana-centered documentary, which I know he hasn't wanted to do, and it is painful to him, but I think, you know, he doesn't have that many cards left to play. So if there's a lot of money that he has to find, there are some ways of doing it still.
If he did the Diana doc, which I have heard that he is, A, 20 million, that's a lot. And B, would he be welcomed back in the UK if he did that? Because again, they would want a lot of memories. Now, his memories of Diana, he was 11. His memories are probably of her because she was kind of indiscreet with her children and telling them all about what their father did. And also his memories would likely be of fights. Would that not harm their dream of Meg-Zin?
You know what, I think the death was such a tragedy, and it is one of the reasons why people still actually have sympathy for Harry, is this feeling that he's damaged by it. So I kind of think, in a way, I don't think it would be difficult for him. I don't think he would be for a minute negative or disrespectful about her. And I think, you know, he has said before he doesn't really remember much about her. So it would really have to be him discussing the effect it's had on him and his psyche. And I actually think, in a way, it would probably only do him good, because there's a huge amount of anger in Britain about Harry and the way he has treated his father and his brother, and the way he's accused all of us of being racist. You know, it's not gone over well at all. So I think he can barely make it worse.
You know? Yeah. Well, and also, would this just be another shrink session for him?
Yeah.
Because he does kind of seem to just sit around and be like, and, you know, tell his truth, which of course his recollections have varied along with Meghan's quite a bit. Speaking of which, the meeting with Pa, I have a quick question, because I genuinely am confused by this. We all know that when in public, the royals have to bow to each other regarding, you know, seniority and not. Do they still have to curtsy to each other in private?
Yes.
So would Meghan and Harry have had to curtsy to Camilla? And is that not kind of delicious?
It is a layer, isn't it? When it's somebody who you've basically called evil, and then you have to literally bend your knee to them. But, you know, the nice part of me doesn't want to see it in those terms, and you want to see it in terms of people who are trying to reconcile. And I think it's got to be a good thing. And there is some well-meaning on both sides, and some sincerity, I believe, in healing. And I really hope that these people can actually get over it.
Well, also, I mean, wouldn't that be great? Although there were reports from Page 6 saying that the meeting wasn't as cozy as perhaps Harry would have liked to say. And of course not. I think Charles walked in going, okay, don't say, I have to watch. It must have been so stressful. You have to watch everything you say. You have to watch every interaction, right? Or it can be used against you in an interview or a book or fill in the blank. And if Harry doesn't get what he wants, then of course, Harry might act out as he always seems to do. So he's got to be kind of held back, but warm at the same time. Meanwhile, Camilla's like, here's the kid who thinks I'm evil. Hello. Yay. And his wife, who's caused so many problems. And
the idea is that Camilla was there to make sure that the king didn't overstep with his welcome, and to make sure that they didn't actually end up having any discussions of anything faintly constitutional, and that it was that the idea is that she was there to make sure that it was all, oh my, haven't the kids grown, at that level.
Right. Because of course, he can't help but bring up Ravik and security every time. It's beating a dead horse. It's like me going to my banker and saying, give me $1 million. And the banker saying, but you have 5. Yes, but I want 1 million. Thank you. It's not going to happen. At least not today.
Well, but he just hope springs eternal. He just will not let it lie. He just always thinks that if he goes back to it, if he revisits it, maybe this time the answer will be different.
But isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting something different?
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. Meanwhile, Meg-Zin. We know that Harry and Meghan want it. Do they want it full time, or do they want it just for summers? What do they want? Do they actually want Archie to go to school with Louis at Eton?
Well, it depends who you speak to, but I think the idea of Archie going to school in the UK actually is genuinely one that gets tossed around, but has not been decided on, because he's 7, so we have a while yet. They do really want to be able to come back to England when they want to come back to England, and to be welcomed here and to have some good family relationships. So yeah, it is. Meg-Zin is real. People don't want to believe it, but I know that from speaking to my people in the Harry circle, they are absolutely sincere and determined in this desire to reconnect, pick up on those ties.
Yeah, but Alison, just because he wants something doesn't mean it's going to happen. Again, the whole Project Thaw from his point of view has been very much, this is what I want, And, William, from what I'm hearing, no way in hell is that going to happen. William's like, we're done. I've got my own family to worry about. And you've proven not only disloyal, untrustworthy, but dangerous. His father seems to be like, well, I would, of course, like to know the grandchildren, and I do miss my son. Meghan, you can sit over there in the corner behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz.
But there is a talent for manipulation at play here, Paula. And, these are people who will use, emotive topics like their own personal safety to try and get what they want. I think that has been demonstrated in the run up to that visit. And now they've got this place in Portugal. They've got a stepping stone, and they can just say, we're going to go to Portugal for a month, and we're going to heli over or private jet over. I'm going to go and see, my uncle, Charles Spencer, and I would love to see you two, Pa. And, how is Charles going to find reasons to refuse in that circumstance? I think that's what you have to look at, because if someone wants it and presents themselves repeatedly in the country, you're going to have to, you're going to have to see them.
But they can also do it without Ravik. They proved that this last visit, they could actually come without the blah, 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 and the fanfare and the blues and twos, and actually have a visit. They could just say, hey, we're coming over. Can we hop on into Highgrove or Sandringham or Balmoral or Buckingham Palace? I can't imagine Meghan does not want to have a suite in Buckingham Palace, even though no one else lives there. That makes it even better, doesn't it? You know? I mean, who wouldn't want to have her over for dinner? Meghan's coming over to tell us what Buckingham Palace is like, and she took pictures.
Amazing. I'm certain that Harry will be at Buckingham Palace when he's here in September for Well Child. I'm sure, because, you know, he did say, actually, you know, too late and belatedly and whatever, but actually that's what he would have wanted to do this time around. I'm sure it will happen next time. I'm sure it will.
Well, I have a quickie for you too, because about that house in Portugal, you know, they said it was claimed they bought it when they first did Meg-Zin. And I had heard at the time, no way, that was a marketing ploy for Jack Brooksbank. And now it seems they're actually doing up a place. TikTok, how many years later? 6 years later?
Well,
Yeah.
no, so it was 24, I think. They bought it off plan and they built it. Yeah. So this is the reason, you know, it could easily take 2 years plus. So yeah.
Got it.
I hear it's not necessarily finished yet, I hear. So, you know.
Excellent, because I know that he went to go see Elton earlier, at least for a hot minute this summer. But they had originally said, the rumors were out there that they bought a place in Portugal in 2018. Those go back as far as that. So that's interesting. So 2024, that would make sense. Got it. Thank you for clearing that up.
Well, okay, good. I know, and I didn't get to the truth of that until really about 2 weeks ago, when someone said to me, "Oh no, I can confirm that. No, they bought it." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Well, and also 2024, they still had some cash on them. So
yeah, maybe. Yes, of course, we're in the era of the Netflix deal, aren't we? Yeah.
Exactly. Let's go, you know, do a investment somewhere quickly. Yeah. Not to mention they probably bought it outright. It was only $1 million or $2 million. So, you know, look at me. It was only like $10.
Nothing.
So let's talk about this, shall we? September. There's a couple things going on in September. September 8th are the Well Child Awards, which he will be in for, likely staying at Buckingham Palace. It is also the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. A week later, it is Harry's birthday. Now, there are two camps that I'm hearing from. One, that he wants to bring Meghan and the kids for Queen Elizabeth's anniversary and the Well Child Awards. But that, of course, he's saying, no, we can't because of the security situation. Not unlike, you know, they did this last time. And the birthday, where do you think he will celebrate? Do you think, actually, let me dial back. Let's start with the 8th. He is going for the Well Child, okay? Do you think he will mark the day of Queen Elizabeth's death at all in any way? Will the family mark it? And will William be forced to appear with him in public somewhere?
No, I don't think William will be forced to appear with him in public anywhere. I think the family will mark it privately. And I think Harry will mark it privately. And I think Harry will be here, and he will probably be here with Meghan and the children. Yes. And I just have no idea what and how and to what extent they might be included in what the family are doing. I mean, remember that the family did say, you know, Meghan can't come up to Scotland, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. When the Queen had died. So
they will be in Balmoral. So it will be interesting. And also, I have also heard William has basically looked at his father and said, if they're allowed in the main house, I will never go back. That is just a step too far.
Well, I mean, the question of how Charles plays now, the problem he's created, which is his heir and spare issue, I have no idea, because, you know, I am not a royal journalist. I'm a showbiz journalist, and I write about Harry and Meghan because we decided that they had become showbiz, not royalty.
That's how I'm on. I can go one up. I think they've become influencers, not even showbiz. But yes, it's easy to cover them along with showbiz because They're all in California. They all speak the same weird language and they all talk about each other.
They're in California. You know, you can talk to your friends at Netflix and Spotify and whatever about them. And, you know, they have a team in America and everyone knows everyone. And, you know, it's easier. Yeah.
That's true. Do you think Meghan wants to go? I think she does.
Do you? I think she does too.
Yeah.
I think she does. Yeah.
I think she desperately needs to be seen as much as royal as possible. Hence why I believe she really wants to go to Buckingham Palace and to Balmoral. You know,
I would kind of instinctively doubt that they go to Balmoral, I have to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they will be allowed.
But I have no knowledge. Yeah.
I think she would jump at it. Yes. Royal plans, let's go. But now, meanwhile, speaking of showbiz and California people, the craziest thing happened. I call it the death knell of Vanity Fair journalism, because recently they had Oprah Winfrey on a little video talking about some points she wanted to clarify on her big royal interview. And I want you to watch this, and I want to talk about this because to me, this is absolutely insane.
Always valued independence. I've always been outspoken, especially about women's rights. I mean, that's the sad irony of the last 4 years is I've advocated for so long for women to use their voice. And then I was silent.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
The latter.
Okay, very nice. I don't think I've done it since. I don't know where the hell that came from. Whoop. Okay. I wanted to be clear because was she silenced? Were people telling her not to talk? That's why I said that. I said it for clarification because I didn't want later to hear, well, no, it wasn't that. It really was that I was silenced. They wouldn't let me talk. So it was all for clarification.
Interesting that Oprah wanted to clarify just that one point instead of clarifying why she didn't do her interview duties on things like, oh, you said you were actually married before, or asking other things about that interview. You say there were racist allegations, but Charles walked you down the aisle, these kind of things. And also I found it interesting that Oprah then brought it back to her just with the cutesy little hand move instead of anything else.
Yeah, just clear up the trivia of why you made the hand move, not actually why you let someone make all these serious allegations and not say, oh, do you have a wedding certificate that would prove that this happened? That's an amazing thing to say. Or, yeah, I mean, I think Oprah has been, I know that when Oprah finished the interview, but before it went out, she was saying to people, this is the best interview I've ever done in my career. This is the high point of my journalism. Okay. And then
journalism. Just because you look at the camera and ask questions doesn't mean you're a journalist.
And after it came out and there was the reaction, she went on with Gayle King and she said, bombshell interview. Don't spy. Everyone says bombshell interview. It wasn't a bombshell interview. And she was really annoyed that people were calling it a bombshell interview. It was a bombshell interview.
It was.
So, but why react that way? Because I think she was immediately sort of sitting in some kind of hot embarrassment about the fact that she'd been used to say things that were actually demonstrated rapidly to not be the truth.
Well, it's fascinating too, because look at that interview and her face. You can tell that she's angry that they played that clip. And you can tell that she's annoyed.
Yeah. And those people, and by the way, those people who denied my story and said, oh no, Oprah's still really best friends with Meghan, watch that clip and tell me if that's how you would speak about an interview with someone who's your best friend. who you really support. Yeah.
Who you really support and just really fail. That's a load of horse twaddle. Yeah, I definitely know they are not close. But it's interesting. She and Gayle, Oprah and Gayle, have the same way of reacting when they don't get the love and adoration that they're used to. You know, it's like when Gail went into space with Lauren Sanchez and
On the Venus rocket.
and people really attacked her for it. She was like, "Oh yeah, have you been to space?" and like went off. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, these people have very thin skin because they've just been so used to being admired and loved and adored for all these years. They actually can't see that they might have done anything wrong."
And I think it's also, and that's a very interesting point, I think it's also that they're angry with themselves that they didn't see how this was going to land. You know, I think Katy Perry and all the rest of the ones who went up in the rocket, they were astonished at how it was presented, how it came across as, you know, the 0.001% doing something totally Marie Antoinette and frankly a bit disgusting. And it was like just a girl's treat.
Mm-hmm.
And all this putting the ass into astronaut.
Yeah.
You know,
and don't forget that
they did not,
eco power, you know, forget about the jet fuel we did. I blew a daisy in space.
I mean, but they're angry as much, you know, they're angry at the sort of the audacity of the public to just call it out for being what it was, which was just a meaningless, sort of slightly sickening stunt, you know. Yeah, and Gayle King took part in it. That was just really stupid. And she thought the story she was telling was all about, you know, oh, I'm scared on a roller coaster and I've been brave enough to do this. And we're like, no, this isn't really an expression of personal bravery. No. You know, it's other things, but it's not really that to us. Yeah.
100%. And if she had just been honest about it, Gail's got the money, Oprah's got the money. She could have been like, listen, I paid the $250K for the flight. Leave me alone. We got it. You know,
I think it was comped, you know, and if she just said, listen, I had a chance to have this incredible experience, and who would say no? Actually, she'd be in a better position than like trying to bring out the fig leaf and say this was all about women and empowering women. You're like,
and journalism, again, back to people fake using that word. Oprah is not a journalist. She's a talk show host. That's not journalism. It's like somebody who reads the news off a teleprompter is a news reader, not a journalist. Ain't doing no digging. And, you know, it is funny because you are absolutely correct. That clip of Oprah talking about the Meghan interview, it's like bringing up her biggest shame.
Yeah.
And
she's not happy about it, is she? She's like, don't show me this. Yeah.
No. And also, by the way, why would she ever want to be around her biggest shame again? She hasn't. But the other thing is, what she really could have done, the follow-up. She didn't, did she?
Yeah, I know. And, you know, we don't know how that was edited. We haven't seen the unedited footage. So, you know, maybe she did ask a follow-up. Maybe these questions were asked, but it doesn't feel as if they were, does it? It feels like a platform was given, grievances were aired, some really, really serious things were said, which and the consequences of what was said actually continue to reverberate. Oh, sorry, my dog's an idiot.
Dog's asleep.
Preferable, yeah. And the consequences of that continue to reverberate, and you think, well, you know, and Oprah should own her part in all of that, really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, Alison, thank you so much. I so appreciate you way backstage, because now I'm going to show everybody my little turd. I'll see you in a hot minute. All right, you guys. Again, fascinating. And since Alison brought up her dog, I thought I'd bring up, well, my turd bird. Now, Doug is very protective. All right. He likes to go after motorcycles, scooters, skateboards, hates really big dogs. And this is also one of his biggest pet peeves, loathings ever, that he tries to protect me, his mother, from. Go get him. Oh boy. Roomba 1, Doug 0. Actually, Roomba 9 million, Doug 0. But what can you do? I love him so much. He's really trying. And he did try to redirect it because I really wanted it to go that way in the room. So good job, Doug. All right, you guys, thank you again. I really, really appreciate you. Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the hype. And I will see you tomorrow with the mystery topic you all voted on. And if you haven't voted yet, go to my posts, and we are talking about either worst celebrity parents or the fake feminists of Hollywood. And yes, Harry and Meghan can do in both. Ha! All right. Bye, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you so, so much. Have a great week.